These tomatoes are growing out of style. It's nuts. If you look at this, once a week I go buy these tomatoes to tie them in and grow them up a string. Growing up a string is a lot easier to keep your garden well kept. A tomato just grows all over the place. So once a week I go by and I tie these in. This is where he was last week. That's how much we grew in 1 week. It is amazing. So what do I do in order to keep them growing up? I tie them in like this, and I have to take the side shoots off. Here's one, and here is two. This is the side shoot. It comes out of the leaf here, and if you are not 100% sure, there is a truss sitting here on the stem after, and that means that this is the side shoot and that is the stem. And as you can see, I tie them in right to the top because they have to go for a week without me doing it. While I do this, I also check the rest of the plant. And what I usually do is I take some of the bottom leaves that start to, I can show you, start to discolor. This is not a disease. It is just this plant grows so fast that it is borrowing food out of the older leaves to support the new growth. And that's why you start to see this yellowing and the blotches, the necrosis that's there. It doesn't matter, we just take the old ones off. What it also does is it gives the first truss that is here more light to grow the tomatoes out. And you can see there is some tomatoes coming here. It's the next one. That's the next one. Now these ones are heritage varieties. Heritage varieties grow different as the newer hybrids. I do like heritage varieties for a few reasons. One of them is, of course, taste. These heritage varieties have taste. I've got 5 or 6 different heritage varieties, and I've got 5 or 6 different tomato tastes. They're really distinct. They're also grown for a certain use. You can well imagine that if you have an Amy's paste tomato, that is a good one to make paste from. Sicilian saucer is great for making sauce. Black Krim is a dark tomato. So they all have their own characteristics, they all have their own tastes, and it would be worthwhile for you to try these different tomatoes. They are just interesting to grow. Now I do grow a few hybrid tomatoes. One of them is, or I've got 2 that I don't find in the heritage varieties much. And the one is Sun Gold. It is a yellow cherry tomato, and I've got a red cherry tomato. They seem to grow much better on a string than the old heritage varieties, but once you learn how to grow them, tie them in, they are really nice to have around in the greenhouse. So I always take a few of these bottom leaves out, and here, look at this. This is a side shoot that grew in 1 week. That is fantastic growth. Here is a side shoot, and yeah, here he goes, and I tie him in. And there we are. Now this is a cherry tomato, and you can see that here there is a beautiful truss of new cherries. If you compare that to the heritage variety, there is a lot more cherries on here. Also growing very fast, and you can see that we're really losing the color out of these leaves, and it is because he will use the food that's in here to grow this part. So these ones go off. Usually 2 leaves, maybe a third one here, that come off. So that's the first truss. This one is the second one. There is the third, and I have to turn them in here. You have to be a bit careful that you not break the tip out, although when you break it out you just let a sucker grow. 1 side shoot, 2 side shoots, there is a little one, and yeah, then he is good for another week. And yeah, lots of cherry tomatoes coming. There is now, that's the 4th one, there's the 5th one. We're gonna get tons of them. This is something I do once a week, and by doing that you get a lot of tomatoes. The tomatoes stay nice and dry. Tomatoes always have a problem that if they stay wet too long you get a lot of fungus diseases, but here in the greenhouse you don't have that problem, and if you keep it away from the ground and you grow it nicely up, you get a good amount of tomatoes. So this is the whole row of tomatoes, and I will show you how quickly that tying in goes. It's not a big chore, and it's nice to do. So I'll go by and do that while you're watching. If I see something, I will let you know. And yeah, it is amazing how much they grew in this past week. Lots of good tomatoes coming. Wow, look at that. That is a long distance. Look at these side shoots. They're really growing unbelievable here. And if this goes on, I might have to tie in more than once a week, probably going to once every 5 days. This is really nice the way it grows. While I do this, I also pick the odd weed out that I find. And it's a good time to see if you can see any insects damage that you have. Now with tomatoes you always have to watch. I was talking about the hands and the staining of tomato, I only have this little row, and just to show what tomatoes do to your hands, yeah, it is a lot of staining. Water will take it off, but it is a very hard stain to take off. Do be watchful if you have light clothing. This green doesn't come out of your fabric, so always have old clothes on when you do it, that or garden clothes that don't matter. Um, for me, I want to feel and touch my plants. Uh, it is funny, but that is what I need to. The other thing is, uh, to be with your hands in nature does give you a defense against diseases. Uh, the bacteria, uh, the funguses, the viruses, everything that's in the soil and on the plants is also good for you in a way. Yeah, there is bacteria and funguses that are not good for you, but my belief is 80%, 90% of what I get in contact with helps keep me healthy. Uh, it's a funny way of thinking, but uh, hey, it works for me. Why I have all of these strings hanging here, that has a purpose, and in future videos I will show you what that means. It is an ingenious way to keep them growing up without going through the roof. And every variety has its own way of growing. It's amazing that you can really notice when you go from one variety into the next. Yeah, and then we are at the end of the row. I did these two already. So as you can see, it doesn't take very long. It is satisfying work. And look at all the material that I got out. Every week I get that. That's how much we replace. So it's growing really well. And we're gonna get a good crop this summer.